Happy New Year, everybody. Good evening. Welcome to week 18 here on Big Blue Avenue. I'm Tom Scavetta, joined alongside my co-host, Sam Cardona. Sam, another week, another L, but promising stuff by the Giants in week 17. First off, how are you doing tonight, and initial thoughts on that game?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. The game was a little bit of a tease, mostly because of how close it was kept. Coming down to the end of that game, it was a bit of a heartbreaker because we did say last week on the preview that we didn't think we would be able to win, but it was still going to be a game. Like, it was a winnable game for us. It just was a matter of whether or not we could actually do it. And we were so close. It was very, very close. Um, and if anybody saw the video on our YouTube channel over the weekend, you saw my reaction to it, which was pretty devastated. But yeah, it was interesting, but I can't believe we're already entering the last weekend of the year. One more Giants game to go. Unfortunately, no playoffs this year.
It sucks. Don't get me wrong. It definitely sucks. It was a down year, a lost year, I should say, 5-11. By the way, uh, doing content with you this season has been awesome, even through the losing, I will say. And if you want to catch Sam's video, great reaction to Mason Crosby's missed field goal and the final moments of that game. Now, I want to say last week's show, to my previous point, was our most watched show on YouTube of the season, over 1,700 total. So thank you all very much for tuning in last week. I think I didn't check Facebook, but if you combine Facebook and YouTube, we probably went over that. But thank you all so much. We can't do this without you guys and gals, all the supporters here of the show. And if you want to continue to check us out, make sure to follow us on that ticker below. We'll leave up there for just another moment. But I will say there were some down spots to this game, but there were also some bright spots as well, Sam. I think we saw a couple really rise up in this game. Sean McVay in his post-game presser credited Wink Martindale's defensive scheme in this game, saying it was one of the toughest defenses his Rams team faced the entire NFL season, despite scoring 26 points. And Sean McVay, of course, grew up liking the Giants. His grandfather, former head coach of the New York Football Giants, so that definitely, some ties to the organization. But McVay knows good coaching. I mean, we've seen McVay rise from the very bottom. McVay was 31 years old when he was hired as the Rams head coach, Sam, and now he's been a very experienced coach. They're constantly in the playoffs besides last year, but I thought Wink's defense really did a good job against a playoff caliber offense. It struggled early, but in that second half, Giants did a really, really nice job pressuring Matt Stafford. 2 interceptions.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that not just in this game, periodically throughout the year as well. This defense has given the offense a lot of chances, some of which we've taken advantage of, some of which unfortunately haven't been taken advantage of. But our Giants defense is the strong part of our team, and that's why we're going to be focusing offensively in the draft, of course, and in the offseason. But I was so proud to watch this defense. They're just every week, Bobby O, Micah McFadden, Kayvon Thibodeau, all these guys, like, they step up every single week and they do everything in their power. Sometimes they're even putting points on the board for us. Jason Pinnock, Adoree Jackson, they're doing everything that they can. And I appreciate that as a fan. Obviously we're struggling in different parts of this team, but there's one thing is Wink Martindale hopefully isn't going anywhere next year and will only make this defense better because, I would like to think it's only going to get better from here. They did a phenomenal job.
Absolutely. As folks, you may hear that helicopter flying over my house heading to Rikers Island right now. Little fun fact.
There you go.
Way to make a awkward sound fit into the show. But you're right, Sam. You hit everything on the point there. The offense is really what's derailed the season. But I will say, the Rams only survived by 1 point. Mason Crosby missing a field goal as time expired. But I want to ask you this: Brian Dable's key decision here late in the game to, I believe it was go for two after Gunnar Olszewski's punt return touchdown rather than kicking the PAT. What would you have done in that situation? Me personally, I would have kicked it. My rule of thumb: if you're at home, you kick it. If you're on the road, you want to get out of there with a win. In that situation, I would have kicked it with the way the offense was playing on Sunday. It was very hit or miss for me.
Yeah, that was incredibly frustrating to see because we had it was like the worst part, but Saquon just I don't know if it was Saquon running incorrectly or if it was Tyrod throwing behind him, but I would have wanted the extra point there. It's a pretty much a certifiable point. Um, I get why he wanted to do it, like, I understand, and he's trying to prove a point as a coach as well, especially after seeing something like the Lions-Cowboys game on Saturday with Dan Campbell continuously going for 2 against the Cowboys defense, but I would have much rather, as a fan, felt the security of getting the extra point, and we talked about this as well as it was happening because we were both really confused, because it would have been a different game. I think that it really would have changed the course of the game if the extra point was kicked instead.
I know the game has changed with analytics and everything, but why was Tom Coughlin the head coach as long as he was for 12 years? He rarely went for two. He only went for two when he had to. I think analytics has taken over the game a little bit too much. There are times where it's needed and it's, welcomed, but other times I think I would rather not go for two in that situation. But I will say, um, the real reason why the Giants lost this game, in my opinion, the inability to stop Kyren Williams in the red zone. The Rams were 3 for 3 in the red zone. Kyren Williams had 3 rushing touchdowns. Puka Nacua had 118 receiving yards, including that 80-yard catch. Tyler Higbee was slicing and dicing over the middle. I think somebody asked me on my flight back from Florida Sunday, should I start Tyler Higbee or Cole Kmet? And I said, go with Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet wound up playing 3 snaps. Tyler Higbee had 6 catches for 62 yards. Go under. That shows you my faith in Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden to defend him. But 30-year-old Higbee got the better of the Giants. But Sam, it's just both sides of the ball. The Rams just dominated. 6 sacks. Kobe Turner, the rookie, ate up John Michael Schmitz alive. Aaron Donald had 2 sacks. The O-line just was not good once again. And unfortunately, it further proves, regardless of who's back there at quarterback, they have to upgrade this O-line unit for sure in the offseason.
Yeah, for sure. And in terms of the Rams offense, I mean, we were talking about Puka Nacua, and the fact that he was dealing with an injury at some point last week and was still able to come in and be an exceptional part of that offense. Just goes to show how much that Giants defense was doing very well for us, because that offense going up against a mediocre defense, they would have been just all over the place. They would have had 40 points on the board, It would have been really a different game. So it just goes to show again how important our defense was in this game because of how a semi-injured Puka Nacua was playing, because I was really not expecting him to play as well as he did.
Yeah. Another thing too, I really want to bring up, Puka, phenomenal performance for him, but about Darius Slayton. How about Darius Slayton? 2 weeks in a row breaks his career long on a single reception, 69 yards on Christmas Day and an 80-yard touchdown catch from Tyrod Taylor this past week. Now has 700 or more receiving yards in 4 of his first 5 seasons. Sam, this was a guy we almost wanted the Giants to cut at the beginning of last season, and I'm thinking back to it. Imagine if they did. This offense would be lifeless right now if they did that. I mean, David Sills is off the team. Tony's off the team. Hodgins hasn't been much of a factor this year. And granted, Tyrod Taylor's throwing to him, but I mean, Tyrod's probably playing his last game as a Giant Sunday. And to see Slayton, he wasn't just doing this with Tyrod. He was doing it with Vito Jones. The Giants draft the quarterback next year. I'm fully confident in Darius Slayton as a wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. I think Slayton's definitely a Giant next season, and I think he's proved it, especially over the last couple of weeks. Hell, he has more receiving yards than Darren Waller.
I
And
know.
that's saying something.
And Darren Waller has even been up and down for us
Yeah.
this past season as well. But unfortunately, we spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. Our guy Shep is probably going to be on the outs after this season. And I'd like to think Darius Slayton is going to step up to be this veteran presence, especially in the wide receiver room, which is so young right now, with Hyatt, Wandale. These guys aren't as seasoned because they've just joined the NFL. So Sterling Shepard, while he's been a great asset to our team for so many years, is probably not going to be on our team next year. Next man up to be the veteran is Darius Slayton. And after playing a better game, like these past few games that we've seen him playing a lot better than we've had in the past, I'd like to think that is going to be a boost of confidence for him as well, and to be a guy to oversee these younger guys who have so much potential. I'd like to think that our wide receiver room is going to grow in a good way, as opposed to seeing it as a bad thing about losing Shep.
And to your point, seeing what we got in these younger guys too behind these veterans, Jalen Hyatt had 3 catches, Daniel Bellinger had 4. And I think last week when we did the show, Sam, we mentioned we want to see more of those younger guys step up and make football plays. And we saw Wandale with the rushing touchdown. He's been phenomenal this year. He's been healthy since he came back, so I'm thrilled about that.
Daniel Bellinger had an amazing first down for us too. And I was like so stoked to see, because Daniel Bellinger is a completely underused receiving target on our offense. He's great with blocking. That is where his strength is and what his role is in this team right now. But it's very obvious that he could be utilized in much different ways. Like, he's a brute. He could push people down. He could get those first downs for us. And I hope in these upcoming, off season and then in the following season next year, we kind of see a little bit more of him in a receiving way as opposed to just as a blocking tight end.
Agreed. Big fan of Daniel Bellinger. Happy for him. Needs to get more reps. Absolutely. Sam, what did you take away from this game, though? Were there any key takeaways that you took? Anybody that stood out that has kind of flown under the radar this season?
I know that we acquired him later, but Isaiah Simmons, I think, is a shining light on the defense that we are going to use like nobody's business next year. We talked about it and how he was kind of like not really getting a lot of use when he first joined, and then we saw a couple key, plays that turned games and were incredibly efficient in the defense. So I just definitely would love to shout out Isaiah Simmons, and I really am excited to see more of him, not only on Sunday but next year as well.
Yeah, I thought Nick McLeod really stepped up too. And Simmons is a great pick, by the way. I think he's flourished a lot in this scheme for Wink's defense. Nick McLeod outsnapped Trey Hawkins last week, who was a draft pick for the Giants this year. I think it says more about Trey Hawkins' lack of development this year than Nick McLeod. But, Nick McLeod did really good last week. It was catch, tackle, catch, tackle. He wasn't missing tackles. He was really, really good. I mean, the Rams are just 2 for 8 on third down. So I'm not saying he's going to be anything special ever on defense, but as a special teamer, he has been a core piece the last 2 seasons that he's active every week. He does not get talked about enough. So I'm really happy for him. I am. But unfortunately, Giants are on a 3-game losing streak. we know there's one game left this season. Brian Dable's job is safe, of course, as it should be. Again, this will be the first time in, what does it seem, like 6 years, a Giants head coach will have lasted more than 2 seasons. Incredible. Again, nothing to be proud of, but I guess for our standards, unfortunately, that's something to recognize. Who did we go with as our player of the week? I think we had a little bit of issue this week coming up with our player of the week, so I think we might have went with multiple.
Yes, we have co-players of the week this week for Big Blue Avenue. Number 1 is Mr. Dane Belton. Super, this was something that was incredibly efficient on our defense, as we were talking about earlier. 2 interceptions, 2 pass deflected, a fumble recovery, 2 tackles. The New York Giants 1-2 exchange, 3-1. Filled in for Jason Pinnock after getting injured. Obviously, was a bit of a loss. Pinnock had been very efficient on our defense. 76.2 PFF grade, second on defense. He stopped Puka Nacua short of the end zone on an 80-yard reception. Obviously, could have ended a lot worse for us if that went through. First New York Giants player with 3 takeaways in a single game in nearly 10 years, and he was a 4th-round draft pick in the 2022 NFL Draft last year. Or 2 years ago. Oh, man, we're in 2024 now. I'm still 2023. And our second player of the week, which I'm pretty excited about. This one was one that was going to be my choice. But Gunnar Olszewski. That's how you say it, right? I hope I'm saying it right.
Yes. Yep.
Gunnar Olszewski. He was the NFC Special Teams Player of the Week this week. 94-yard personal record for a touchdown. Oh, sorry, punt return in the 4th quarter. 4 returns for 108 yards, which is a 27-yard average. It's pretty good. Second career touchdown. The first was in 2020 when he was still on the New England Patriots, and he was a solution to an early season problem. I remember signing him and us saying, okay, I guess we'll see what he's got. And he's enhanced the special teams a whole lot, I think, and was very exciting to see for sure.
I think these are 2 awesome selections, and I'll just unpin this here. Oops. Yeah, so Gunnar Olszewski, guy who I feel like would have fit on this team better when Joe Judge was the coach, but he's here now, and I'm happy he is. Yes. Giants had a lot of fumbling problems early on this year. Eric Gray had issues coughing up the football. At one point they were having Darius Slayton back there field punts because nobody could effectively hold on to the football. And they finally brought in Gunnar. Special teams ace. Again, he himself had some fumbling issues with Pittsburgh, but he was really good in New England, and that was his 2nd career touchdown. I mean, he's been phenomenal since coming over. He makes the right play. He never really panics when he's returning, and rightfully so. He made a game-changing play that probably should have helped the Giants at least tie the game, if not won it late. Mm-hmm. So, not to mention, he also stepped up as a holder this year when Randy Bullock got hurt and Gillen had to fill in and kick. Olszewski was the one who held the ball on Gillen's, 40-yard field goal, something like that. So, shout out Gunnar. And Dane Belton's a player, again, he has been so good. And I was reading an article today. Young backups are really only one good game away from becoming a starter. And I think we saw that last week. Jason Pinnock left with an injury. Pinnock and Belton, they're on the same level. Belton comes out and causes 3 turnovers. He's in the right place, right time. He looks like a prototypical Wink Martindale defender, as in he blitzes well, he covers well. And again, causing takeaways, knowing where the ball is, especially on that one fumble. He fell right on the football rather than trying to pick it up and run. He just got the football for his team, and awesome stuff for both players. Very proud of them. Young players, too. But one bad thing that stinks for the Giants, I'm kind of sad about this. Tyre Phillips, torn quad, season-ending injured reserve. He will have surgery. He started 9 of the last 10 games at right tackle. So, Sam, your guy, Matt Pert, is back for one final start, probably, as a member of the New York Giants before hitting free agency. So, it sucks that Phillips can't start against his team he played on for 6 weeks during the season in the Eagles. But at least Matt Pert gets one last chance to prove himself to possibly get another NFL contract with a different team. That's all I've got to say on that.
Can't believe they took away a Tyre Phillips revenge game from us.
Yeah.
Can't believe it.
It's very unfortunate. But, yeah, wish him the best. And Matt Pert will likely start at right tackle this week.